Welcome to the Rewarded Consumer Podcast. My name is Michael, and I have a general passion to get more rewards out of my everyday financial activities. I wanted to share this passion with you to help give information on tools that can help get more out of these mundane everyday activities. I am joined today by a group of my friends who also have a similar interest.
Hey, I'm Pete. I'm here to learn and possibly even share useful experiences from my financial decisions as well.
Hi, I'm Stas. I have an interest in technology and finance, so let's explore this world together.
Hi, my name is Jan. I have a technical background, but would like to explore the thoughts that my friends have around financial aspects such as credit cards and other reward programs.
Hey, I'm Alex, aka AG. I'm a novice to cashback consuming, but I'm here to share my experiences and thoughts and hopefully ask some good questions.
All right. Welcome to the podcast. This week I am joined with the RC crew to talk about shopping portals and how they can add extra benefits to your daily online shopping trips. You might ask, what is a shopping portal? Well, a shopping portal is either a website or plugin you can add to your browser when you're doing online shopping. You can even have it as an app as well. But what it is a way to get extra either cashback or points, whatever you prefer, by going to that certain retailer through a cashback portal. What's really nice about these cashback portals is they have a lot of benefits. First of all, you can use them in tandem with your credit card / cashback. In this case, we consider double dipping. Since right now we're doing the majority of our shopping online because of COVID-19, this is just very lucrative and just one extra step you have to do to get a little extra cash back. And a lot of times these shopping portals do have coupon codes which you can use to make do better. Like a lot of times even Groupon will have a coupon code on top of it that you can use for like maybe another 25% off of whatever you're going to buy, and you can use that in addition to getting that percentage back you're going to get from the shopping portal. Now, the way these shopping portals get money is by having agreements with these retailers that if they bring a client to the store through their website, and they literally saves a little like cookie on there saying that, hey, this person came in there, through the website, and it gives them a commission, and then the website then gives you part of that commission. So let's say I'm gonna throw out numbers here that probably aren't accurate, but let's just say it's a 5% back. The portal could be getting 10% of the money, and then they're giving you 5% back of what they're getting back for whatever you spent there. Basically, as I said earlier, you can access them through a couple different ways. You can either go through their website directly, a browser plugin, which can be really, really awesome because those will typically, if you go to that website, they'll actually pop up with a little pop-up menu saying, hey, you'll get a percentage back here of this amount. There are so many out there that they can stack the deck on those, and you can compare each cashback portal for whatever site you're going to. So if I'm going to use Groupon again. Let's say I'm going on Groupon. Let's say Ebates or Swagbucks, or anybody has different things. That Ebates might have it for 2% and Swagbucks might have it for 3%, or vice versa. It just depends on what their deal is with the shopping portal. They also have phone apps we can do it so you can shop through your phone as well. I'm going to go through a couple examples. First one I want to talk about is Swagbucks and MyPoints. They're owned by the same company. They're slightly different. They don't really work in tandem with each other. They kind of work against each other a little bit, but they're under the same company that I think it's Prodigy that owns them, and they give you points for going through their websites. We also have Rakuten, which was formerly Ebates. Very straightforward. It just gives you cash back.
I enjoy using Honey. Actually, it's pretty good. It will usually try to pop in maybe 10 to 20 different coupon codes, and I like it because it's just running through a list of maybe what you might find off of Retail Me Not. Sometimes you can get Honey points, or you can even just get a nice 10, 15, 20% off of usually Amazon is what I use it on.
Well, Pete, let me ask you a question. What do Honey points get you?
Actually, Mike, I have not used them yet. I have not actually looked into what I can actually even buy yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be very similar to any of the other portals. Have you looked at that, Mike?
I've tried Honey in the past just for coupons, but I know they have a cashback element to them. I just haven't really dabbled with it. I'm assuming it's probably either gift cards or cash, as you were saying. But yeah, it's another great site. Another one we talk about is Lemony. This one's a little different because you can actually get plus your cash back based on how many times you do certain activities. So you can sometimes get up to 19.2%. So they have weird ways, but you have to use these turbos to prop them up. So you can, if you save them up and you do certain activities, you'll get more cash back at a certain store if you use use their turbos or something like that. So it's kind of a different take on it, but it's still it's your cashback portal, but you have to do certain activities in order to get better cashback on some of their clients they use. Another one I would recommend is WikiBuy. Now this one's a little different. It does use coupon codes and it does give cash back, but it also comparison price shops. So it will, like, let's say you happen to go on Amazon or something like that. It usually doesn't give a cash back for Amazon, but it will compare to like eBay or a couple of different websites that might have the same product, and it'll give you like how long it will take to ship and like what the price difference is. And it could be a staggering difference, or if the shipping and all that stuff is exactly the same and you're not tied to either store, maybe you'll go to the other store. So it gives you kind of a price comparison, which is kind of cool. Not a lot of them do that.
Yeah, Mike. Somebody that likes to travel both for work and for pleasure, I actually like using the airline miles websites that they offer. So, for example, Southwest, they have a rapid reward shopping portal. They have a lot of different vendors over there that they work with. And then if you go through that portal and try to purchase different items through the stores that they work with, you can earn points and essentially use those points later on to purchase tickets through Southwest. I know that there are like other companies that do that, but I personally like to use Southwest for that reason.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, American Airlines and I know Alaska, United, they all have their own shopping portals like that. And you can use them towards, anything you can use your miles on, like mostly for flights, but you can use them towards hotels, gift cards, whatever you want. But usually the redemption rates for anything besides the actual flights are usually not as good. So I typically, if I'm going to utilize points, I would probably use it towards a flight or something like that. So
I know that you can also cash those points for gift cards, as you mentioned. For example, Amazon gift card, and just use it on Amazon later on.
Yeah, exactly. And the hotels also have their own versions of them. Hilton has their own shopping portal and choice. They're very similar to the airline miles. And personally, it'll kind of come down to what the person values the most. What's the most valuable to you and what makes the most sense. Banks also have them. Yeah, and you have something, you were telling me about Chase Ultimate Rewards,
Yeah,
right?
so as somebody who has both the Chase card, the Sapphire Reserve, and the Southwest card from Chase, both of them, they can integrate with each other. So technically you can move points from one card to another. Now, the nice thing about the Ultimate Rewards is that your points worth a lot more money over there. So for example, you can purchase trips with points and both cash if you choose to. And then you can also, like I mentioned earlier, in the Southwest portal, it's similar. You can also do the same shopping through the Ultimate Reward shopping portal and go to other different stores and purchase different items and earn points that way as well. So you can use it towards your travel in the future or gift cards.
Can you double dip in that system? Because I know you're already, let's say you are using a Chase card already. Are you getting more points on top of that, on top of what you would normally get?
Can you clarify what do you mean?
Let's say we're using the Sapphire Reserve, and you're getting. Let's say you're buying travel. Let's say it's 3 points per dollar on travel. They also have a deal. Let's just say it's American Airlines. You shop through there, you get like an extra 2 points. Is it double on top of there, or is it going to be this? You get one of the other?
I think it's one of the other. I honestly never tried to do it with both.
So a lot of times with these ultimate reward points, you can actually make more points if they happen to have a deal. Like let's say, again, I'm going to go back to Groupon as an example because it's easy as a straight ladder. Let's say I get, I'm just using like a Sapphire Reserve and I get like 1 point per dollar on anything I buy on Groupon, and they happen to have a 5 points per dollar if I spend through the ultimate rewards points. I'll essentially get 6 points per dollar instead of just the 1 point because I'll be using their portal. So I'll get more points through that way so it's kind of like double dipping, but just it's in the same currency instead of two different currencies. And then there's one last category that's just a little bit newer to the thing. I'm not that familiar with it, but I've seen it. It's called a stock back. So it's one of the ones that we use that is called iConsumer. So if I go to certain websites, I can get the cash back in the form of stock. I'm not as familiar with this one, but I know it exists, and so it's just another way to look at it. You can either get cash back or you can put it into stocks. Now, there are other things that we do have. There are websites out there that have the ability to compare what you can get per website. So there are things like Cashbackaholic, which has a website and a extension button, and there's also a Cashback Monitor. It gives us the ability to compare all these websites in one place. So So I say put Groupon in there, and it'll tell me throughout the board of every website they will give a cash back if I use through their portal. So that's another thing you can add on. And they also have a plugin for the Cashbackaholic, which so you can literally click on that while you're looking at the store, and it'll be a list of like maybe up to like 30 different cashback sites that can give you something. As I said, you can get it as deep as you want in one of these things, or you can just do it. It'd be simplistic, and like if you're like certain people that just likes to use like 1 or 2 credit cards, you can just use 1 or 2 cashback sites and then make it simplistic. I think it's all about what the user wants. So we've gone through like the pretty much examples. I wanted to kind of open the floor up to talk a little bit about this in general and how people they can benefit.
Well, I think just from from a perspective of someone who hasn't really spent any time or effort trying to set up and find these various options for getting cash back or getting rewards for things, it might be useful to just kind of talk about on average or typically how do you employ these when you're shopping? Like when does it come up? And if you just decide that you need to make or you need to purchase something, is this just like, where's the first place that you go to start figuring out what is the best deal you can get for these things?
All right, so I'm going to use Expedia, okay? Let's say I'm not going to go to the airline directly, but I'm going to use Expedia to book a flight. So I'll go to Expedia's website. I can go through 2 different portals. I can either go the long, hard way and just say, okay, I'm going to go through each individual shopping portal. So I can put it Expedia each time, and it'll tell me what they have. Or a lot of them have now, just because they want to encourage you to go in there, we'll put these browser plugins, which are these little buttons on the top of your web browser, and usually Chrome is usually the most universal use of that. And anytime I go to that website, these little pop-ups will come up and say either you can make 4%, 5%, or whatever their percentage are giving away, or if they're getting a straight cash back, like I'm giving $1.50 for every booking you put through here, they'll do that. If I put multiple out there, I can decide it that way, or I can use that other plugin like Cashbackaholic, which tells me which websites are going to offer what at that point, and I can use that to determine which is the best site to go through. Or if I only use one site, it'll tell me what that one site will give you, and I can just go through it that way. So there is a lot of decision making, and I'm one to tell you I complicate my transactions, but I also just kind of like to see if I can beat the system a little bit. It's not beating the system; it's just more or less me trying to get the most cash back and while having to purchase anything I have to purchase.
Yeah, it makes sense. So you would say in the instance for someone's looking for a flight, why would you go to Expedia versus, just looking up a flight on Kayak, and then can you use Cashbackaholic there, or do you need to go to the airline website and use Cashbackaholic there? It just depends on wherever it is you prefer to make the transaction.
Expedia is usually one of the ones that have encouraged shopping portals. Typically, airlines do not offer cash back if you go to their websites directly. They might offer better benefits like you get to choose a seat or something else. It just depends on what you need. But with these third-party travel sites, they need to get away sometimes to hook people into going to their particular site. So whoever's going to actually be doing the transaction, they're the ones that need to know that you have you went into that website. And with plugins, you can literally click on that button and it'll automatically get you set up for that button. That being said, in theory, you could think, oh, well, if you have multiple buttons, you just hit the buttons. It cancels. If you hit one button, it cancels the other button out if you do that. I, for instance, have Ebates or Rakuten and Swagbucks to compare against each other. So like 5 Swagbucks is equal to 5% of Ebates 5%. And to me, that might be more valuable. It just depends on what's more valuable. I mean, they have other things. I mean, one I forgot to mention earlier, you can even put it into a college savings account. There are cashback sites for everything. It just depends on what's valuable to the user. Well, I mean, Alex, let me ask you a question. What's more valuable to you? Points or
I think for me in most cases, I prefer the points if I'm convinced that they are definitely worth more than the cash. So when I'm using my points that I collect with Delta or whatever, I prefer to use those towards the flights because I think that's where they go furthest. But I'm obviously attracted to the flexibility of cash as well. So with my bank, for instance, USAA, when I go into the rewards portal there, they have a limited inventory in terms of what you can use those points for. So even though those points are more effective, it's just not worth it for the inflexibility. So I generally take cash from that.
How about you, Stas?
So I used to like cash back more just because cash is king. But what I found was if you actually do use the points, sometimes you actually get more value out of them. But again, it depends on if you need them. If you don't need them, then obviously just take the cash and go. But in the past, like I also have a Sapphire Reserve, and I've actually made use of that when I travel, whether it's booking hotels or flights, and you actually get better value that way. So since I used them, they worked. If I had not planned to travel, then yeah, I would just take the cash because what else would I do with them?
Going back to the last podcast, does anyone change their mind if points or cash is more valuable?
I'm hoping things bounce back to some extent and then I can use them again. If not, then I'll see if I can transfer them to cash. But for now, I'm hoping that I can still use them.
I'm just being patient just because, like Stas, I'm just going to see. And thankfully, it's not a necessity. So you can kind of play the market a little bit. Maybe they'll offer some sort of reward or even higher like amounts that they're going to give for points versus just trying to cash it out. Because, I mean, a lot of these businesses may not have as much liquidity as they had before all this, after all this. So just good to wait a little bit and see what they do.
I don't know if you guys heard about this, but I've been hearing a lot of countries, well, not a lot, but maybe just a few countries, they're actually offering discounts for people that, like for tourists, basically. So while I'm not necessarily comfortable traveling right now, depending on if these offers last and if they don't go away by the time that I am comfortable, that might be a good use of those points. I heard Japan, I think, I don't know if they for sure are or are thinking about offering some kind of discounts for anyone that comes there as a tourist, basically just to attract tourism. There was another country that I forget what it was, but they weren't offering any cash back. It was more of an insurance where they're saying if you get sick while there, then they'll refund you the cost of your vacation.
But is it really worth it?
Well, if you get sick, I personally think no. Some other person might want to take the chance, and at least worst case, you know that you get some of your money back.
But no, my personal feeling, I kind of go both ways when it comes to the points. It just depends on the situation. For me, I'd probably go cash back as king because I could reuse that cash again to make more points on there because I see it as like a continuous cycle. But I also am a big fan of the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal, which, if you have a Sapphire Reserve card, you get 1.5 times your points you can utilize, which means 1.5% times whatever you have. So let's say you have $500. Yeah, so say I get $750 and $150 travel for $500 worth of points I have. So that's where everything becomes very different. But in theory, I can also take that $500 and cash it out because Chase will let you do that with their system. Because I also have a Freedom card, which I can stack the deck with. Sometimes the Freedom card will give me 5% in a certain category. Right now, it's 5% back at the grocery stores, just like the Sapphire Reserve's doing the same thing. You're getting 5 points per dollar at the grocery stores because right now the credit cards companies are trying to kind of compensate for what we're losing on. I read that as of June 1st, anyone that has a Sapphire Reserve card and has not used their travel credit can use it for a determined amount of time. I think it might even be till like September 30th. I don't know the exact date on this, but they can use that travel rewards card credit towards grocery stores. So you can use that $300 towards grocery store purchase, and they'll just kind of wipe it clean. And then so you're basically getting an EVA exchange for that $450 you're using. So honestly, this might be a good time for you to sign up for a card like the Sapphire Reserve. You get that, you'll get the exchange for having to pay $450. You'll still get a really good amount of points. Another thing I read is that they're also doing this thing called payback. Right now with their points, they're offering it now at the grocery store. So let's say I want to spend $750 at the grocery store. I can get that for $500 worth of my points. I can just use $500 worth of my points and get $750 worth on my Sapphire Reserve right now. And so instead of using it on travel, I can use it on other expenses like I can go to the grocery stores, even go into restaurants, stuff like that. I have to read a little bit farther into it, but as I said, I read that recently about that. It makes it an interesting proposition on all these credit cards that pride themselves on travel, and when nobody can travel, they're actually adapting, which is what makes me happy to be part of like Chase and anybody that's giving like cash back. I think even Citibank's giving some cash back, with their annual travel credit they give as part of one of their credit cards. Jan, what about you? What's your favorite currency? Or
at this point, I'm still sticking to points, but we'll see what happens in a few months or a year, however long it's going to take for the COVID pandemic to be over with. So maybe I'll change my decision later.
Yeah, I think that the time I'll know that this COVID thing's done, I'll probably mention again in another time, is just when I'm on a plane and taking off. That'll be my, I feel like I've died and gone to heaven just because I miss getting on a plane and going somewhere. But that's my thing. How about you guys? What's your sense of normalcy when this whole COVID-19 thing is done, or at least some sense of like regularity?
A Monday flight and a Thursday flight. That's my typical schedule.
Well, yeah, I don't travel that often. I probably travel like once a month or something if it's at peak rate for me. So I think, it's probably gonna be a lot of just little things that I do from month to month, or places that I go shop. But I don't really buy all that much, or at least I'm not really keeping a good track of what things I need to leave the house to do other than groceries. I'll be glad when I don't have to do all of my groceries online, because if you're going to get groceries delivered to you and they don't have something, then you're at the will of someone else's substitutions. There are just some things that you really have to get out and about for. In my personal circumstances, we've been house hunting recently, so obviously it's a lot more painful to do that, or really any other really large purchase with the types of restrictions that are in place for the COVID stuff.
Yeah, and for me, it's just not having to think before I even leave the house. Like, there's a lot of unexpected things going on right now, so the uncertainty doesn't give you as much of a place of normalcy. So I think my normal will be just having effortless trips.
For me, it's a little bit different because I work in the healthcare field. So while on the personal side, sure, it's easy to make a few changes to your life to adjust. And for the most part, life is still okay. Because I'm in the healthcare field, I still have to be conscious of it because it affects our clients or patients. And it's something I'll probably just have to constantly be dealing with until there's a cure or a vaccine or something to reduce the risk.
No, that's actually a really good point. As
that...
like a small business owner, there's of course, devastating impacts right now. So until we've gotten around all of the issues that affect the business, then we'll never feel normal.
Great point, Alex and Stas. Each person is going to have a different set of circumstances, so what they value will probably be different. Before you start utilizing any of these shopping portals or tools, you should take a moment to figure out what you value most to help make a decision that meets your needs. I want to thank the RC crew for joining me on the podcast. I will include the referral links to a majority of the websites we mentioned in the podcast, so you can get a nice welcome reward for trying them out. I appreciate you listening to the podcast, and we'll bring more rewarding content in the near future.